Ravens at Texans, Monday Night Football. I'm taking the lead with my free pick here. Marco, let me get some thoughts from you first, though. We're both big Steelers fans. At some point in this video, I'm sure I'm going to talk about how excited. I think I burst a blood vessel in my eye. But the fact is, what was your takeaway from that game about the Ravens?
The Ravens, they're still good. I know you're going to say they're not as good as you know, they're overrated. The Ravens,
I've been saying they're overrated all year.
I know you.
I've been right. I mean, let's be honest. You know, the Ravens aren't. Well, let me ask you: how have you adjusted the Ravens' power ranking from week 1?
The Ravens, I haven't adjusted them because I had them high to start.
That's what I'm saying. So you're saying you're not slightly disappointed in this team?
Where I'm disappointed is I don't think their defense is.
I don't care why. I'm asking. Do you think the Ravens are the same, as equally good as you did in week 1?
I'm not that far off of it, really.
But you feel like they're a little bit less.
I don't know. You're trying to get me to agree with you.
No, I'm trying to get you to actually say something one way or the other.
I think they are what they are.
What the heck does that mean?
They're where I expected them to be at this point of the season. Them and the Steelers separating themselves from the rest of the division.
But that's too generic. Baltimore was Pittsburgh's over and under win total entering the year was 8. Okay, do you have a big ticket? Do you have a big ticket on Pittsburgh over?
I gave it out on Gil's show at the first week of the season.
All right, so congratulations. But no, I mean that's a sign you had that right. But you know, Jimmy Vaccaro, who's as respected as you get, said Pittsburgh wasn't going to make the playoffs. So I mean, you know, it wasn't people weren't. It wasn't a minority that thought they were going to go 8.
It was a overreaction to Ben not being there for the first 4 weeks.
But what I'm saying is a lot of people had I mean, on ESPN, I think more people had the Ravens to win the Super Bowl or to be the AFC representative than any other team. Right now, clearly, it's hard to put them ahead of the Pats, and it's hard to put at best they're third in the AFC. If I would
Who's second?
Well, the Pats and the Steelers.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you: if we were doing a what do you call it? A draft, but you know, we got to pick teams in order, and I let you pick first. I let you have the first 2 picks in the AFC, and I get the first 2 picks in the AFC. Who are you picking?
Well, based right now, you got to look at New England.
I'm not based right. When do you think? Based in 3 weeks, who are you picking?
I'm not. I actually have Pittsburgh third.
Behind?
I have New England. I think all 4 teams are so close. I really do.
The Jets and the Pats are really close?
Nobody is as good as their best game or
no, I know, but I mean,
these are 4 solid football teams. They each have a flaw. Each team has a flaw.
I smell a bet. So here's what we'll do. I'll take Pittsburgh and New England. You take the Jets and Baltimore, and I'll give you 600 to 500.
To who's going to be the AFC champ? Well, you know, I can't take it.
Boy, how in the world? It's a hedge. How in the world can you say that it's imperceptible? I couldn't even get an answer out of you. I'm laying 120.
Here's the.
You didn't believe what you said.
No. Here's the problem with Pittsburgh. Why I don't put them on the top
then
echelon.
Take the bet.
Their offense is not getting the drives done. Again.
So take the bet.
Again, if it didn't come down to Troy saving the day on Sunday night,
the bet.
They would.
See? The money talks, baby.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back. We're 4 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about this game. So you're saying you're as high on almost as high or as high on the Ravens. All right. My takeaway was this offense is nothing. I mean, thank God they got Bolden because he's a beast. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they can't run. I mean, you could say hurt him.
You remember they were going against the best rushing defense in football.
I mean, against good team, true enough, but I guess they hardly could, maybe you're right. I mean, have you been watching, are they running effectively?
They've moved the ball effectively during the year. Their offense has played better overall than you would expect with a Baltimore team. I think
except this year, everyone agrees their defense is down.
I agree 100% with that. But looking at this game, the thing that jumps out to me, you've got a huge scheduling advantage for Houston in this game. They played on Thursday last week. Baltimore played on Sunday. Not only did they play on Sunday, they played on Sunday night. Okay, a few more hours, a little bit less time to prepare, recover. but they played an absolute bloodbath of a game. They were carting people off the field in that game. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
hit
it's nice
any
for the
hard.
Ravens. They can punch people. They can snap their necks. They don't get penalties. Yeah, it was a bloodbath, I will tell you.
But
Good job,
that
NFL.
that kind of game takes a toll on your body. The physical.
And that's one of your handicapping principles is whenever you play the Steelers or the Ravens, look to fade that team the next week because physically they're just a little beat up.
So you take that and add to the fact what the magnitude of what the game was. If Baltimore would have held on for those final 4 minutes and won that game, in essence, they won the division because the Steelers, although they would have only been 1 game behind, would have in essence been 2 because they would have lost the season series.
No doubt.
So, I mean, that was a big-time loss. They're coming in here. They got a flats. They can come in flat.
We talked about this with Philly having 10 days off against Dallas. How much do you diminish that advantage because the assumption is the Houston coach isn't very good?
It is a situation that, coaching is the great equalizer. But I'm going to go back to last week, and it's only 1 week, to look at. But all the teams that played on Thanksgiving Day the week before, you had the early game was New England and Detroit. Then you had New Orleans and Dallas and the Jets in Cincinnati. Every team covered last week that came off a Thursday except the Jets because somebody had to lose. They both played on Thursday.
All right, that's a good point. A couple other things makes me like, I'll give my projection right now. I'm going to say Baltimore slips by here. To me, it's a pure value play. I think Baltimore's still a little overrated. You make good points about the situation. It really is a bad spot for Baltimore. I got Baltimore 24-23. I'm taking the points with Houston. Ravens road favorite 4 of 15. Texans, I'm surprised because I don't like their intangibles, 8 of 11 as a home dog. So it's a good spot for the Texans when you look at it that way. Here's the last question I have for you. The Ravens, for the first time I've heard, a little squawking in the locker room after the game. Mason, their wide receiver, saying, why'd I come back if we're going to lose these kind of games? A lot of talk about what's wrong with the offense. Do you see that being, with Harbaugh, I haven't seen a lot of that. Do you look at that as negative, positive, or neutral for the Ravens?
Well, that's never a positive whenever the locker room, you don't want a divided locker room. If the offense starts pointing fingers at the defense or the defense vice versa, that's not a good situation. I'm going to give you another point here where I think there's some added value.
Last point.
Houston has lost 5 of their last 6 games, but if you go deeper into the schedule and look at the schedule that they played, they played Indianapolis, San Diego, Jacksonville, Jets, and Philly. All of those teams were playing well when they played them.
And some close losses. In a way, the fact the losses were close has been more of an indictment to Houston. It's like this team just simply can't win a close game.
Knee-jerk reaction, as good as that game was on Sunday night, people automatically will say, look for Baltimore to bounce back, because it was a tough loss.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a loss in that fashion. It's like, going out and drinking and you have a hangover the next morning. It's tough.
All right, well, that's what I'm predicting. Now, by the way, we're going to end the show with a chance to win $100. We do this every Monday night. You go into the YouTube comments section. You post the score of the game, project it before the game. Project, Baltimore, this many points, Houston, this many points. If you get the score exactly right, you win 100 pregame dollars to spend any way you want at the site. We do that every week, no obligation, no risk. Take your shot. If you win, you cash. All right, Marco, good stuff this week. We'll be back next week with breaking down more games from a Las Vegas perspective.